Hello, good afternoon, welcome. I hope you're all having a good conference so far and feeling energised after a nice lunch. So as you can see, it's a case study between Pure 360, that's us, and Amnesty International, represented by Mary. And yeah, protecting individuals through email evolution. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. Amnesty are about protecting individuals, and they use us for email. So just to talk about that, it's quite an honest talk about some of the things we've implemented, the reasons we've done that, and the output. So just very quickly, I'm hitting next, but nothing seems to be happening. Am I doing this incorrectly?
Oh, it's just changed. Don't look.
Okay, introduction. So my name's Johnny. I'm a Customer Success Director at Pure 360. As I was introduced, I am responsible for our customers' success with the product, success with their email marketing, and really helping deliver and drive results. We are a aggressively growing email marketing and SMS agency based in Brighton. And that's a lovely place to be at the moment because the sun is shining.
My name's Mary. If you want to find me on Twitter, this is the picture, on a train reading the paper. So I work at Amnesty International UK and I manage the mass email programme, also our SMS activism, and I look after our kind of digital campaign actions. And we're kind of a smallish digital team of about 8 people, and there's 2 of us who work on email.
Yep, and we've been in partnership for about since 2009. It's a good innings. Long may that continue, and we've been working together, Mary and I, since about 2012. So we're just going to cover off today background. So Mary's going to do a bit about the background, some of the challenges faced by Amnesty. We're going to look at the evolution of the customer, of the supporter journey, I should say. We're going to look at getting smarter in 2 different ways. Thinking creatively, which we'd all like to do a lot more of, I'm sure, but this is an example of that. Optimizing deliverability in order to spread the good word of Amnesty. We're going to have a quick look at future plans, so what's in store, and then we'll take some questions. Back over to you.
So I'm sure most of you are aware of the work of Amnesty International. We're the world's largest grassroots organisation working on human rights. We've been around for 50 years, over 50 years now. And digital communications, like all charities, is an ever-growing area in all our work. So fundraising, campaigning, also informing and educating people about human rights issues. And then email in particular has just grown and grown and grown over the past sort of half decade or so. It at the moment drives the majority, over 3/4 of our digital actions. So that's the petitions, when you're asked to contact your MP about something. It's also a key channel for our crisis appeal. So for instance, the Syria conflict, and also some of our crowdfunding initiatives. So where we've crowdfunded for something like an advert to help achieve our campaigning objectives. So it sits alongside other channels such as social media, but particularly mobilising people. It's a key channel. And we've also found that that ongoing stream, we'll talk about a bit later on, plays a huge role in both retaining our financial supporters and also converting new people from prospects to financial supports. So some of the challenges. So the UK is there are lots of different organisations doing great work. So it's quite a crowded marketplace for charities. It can be quite hard to stand out from that and show impact. Also recently, you may be aware of organisations like Change.org and Avars. So they've really raised the bar for kind of particularly digital campaigning in that they're very quick, very responsive. They crowdsource from a community. And then Amnesty in particular, there's lots going on. Email is seen as a free marketing channel. So we have lots of different internal clients making requests to achieve their particular objectives. So maintaining that kind of holistic view of what we're sending out to people can be a challenge. Also, sort of when I started working on the email, we've got quite disparate, lots of different systems for all the different things that we do, and a lot of our processes are manual. So that kind of being responsive and agile can be quite tricky in that situation. So just moving on to some of the ways that we've... So Johnny's going to talk a bit more about some of the things that we've done with our templates and with our deliverability to help us to achieve our objectives. But we've also done quite a lot sort of behind the scenes stuff on the kind of process and the planning. So one thing was just to agree the overarching objective that we have different campaign objectives, our growth objective, but also to make sure that we had that kind of overall view of what the email program is and we want to achieve with it. So once we kind of got agreement on that, we have internal processes, kind of prioritisation, to make sure we're keeping that balance of asks, that we're not just asking people always for money, we're giving them lots of different ways that they can support us and help us achieve our aims. We've done a lot more with segmentation and targeting to make sure that we're being relevant. So the more you do, the more you'll get asked to do. If people aren't interacting with our emails, then we'll try to only send them the kind of broadest appeal asks. So that might be a petition on an issue that's very big in the news at the moment, or a kind of crisis fundraising ask. And also we've kind of thought a lot more about the user journey. So for instance, if someone came in and did, so this is a recent campaign on the arms trade. So we kind of launched with the big sort of petition ask. And then sort of through that campaign, we've really kind of targeted, thought about the journeys, thought about the segmentation. So when we had this reactive action, there were treaty negotiations going on in New York, and we didn't get the text we wanted. So we kind of reached out, mobilised people. Within 48 hours, we can get those responses we need. And then there was a bit of a delay, as happens with these things. So we kind of sent an update, and then made sure that we got that good news out. We did a lot of scenario planning in advance to make sure that within kind of half an hour of the treaty being signed, we could go back to people and say, look, your support has helped us achieve this amazing thing. So we've just kind of tried to roll that into all our planning around emails. And another thing that we looked at, we reviewed our monthly newsletter. So I think a lot of charities have done this as well, but we used to send out a monthly email. It would have campaign ask, sign up to do a marathon, here's some news, here's another thing. And we just found that actually the responses we were getting from that didn't really justify doing that. So we kept the newsletter format, but we've definitely focused on really kind of standalone asks. So really being clear, what is the one thing we want people to do at this time?
Sweet. All on that?
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, the next part we looked at was kind of getting smarter, and the idea of getting smarter through integration. So one of the challenges that Amnesty are facing is the sort of whole kind of disparate database idea and the sort of manual upload of data, something that a lot of organisations are definitely moving away from. Integration is definitely becoming the norm. This is what we want. This is the holy grail. It's the single customer view. I've heard that mentioned in quite a few talks today. Through discussions and review, we understood that FastStats was being used by Amnesty currently. FastStats is a data analysis and automation tool, very popular, developed by AppTK. Pure360 have an integration already built. It was great when we found that out. It was a nice and easy thing to do. And what we were able to do was kind of plug into that so that campaign selections, any segmentation can be done through the FastStats tool. Pure360 becomes a bit of a slave machine, really, in being able to sort of broadcast those emails out. And then we also get responses, opens, clicks, bounces, any sort of engagement data, posting back as events into FastStats. And so we've got this, and that's kind of real time as well. So you're able to see, especially, if Mary's talking about a 48-hour campaign that's being sent out to try and change the global arms situation and treaty, then it's really important to be able to see kind of real-time stats coming in. So yeah, that was something that we did, and that's ongoing work in terms of exactly how they use that.
And just following on from that, we've also been trying to do a lot more of just really understanding our supporters, so using the data to gain some more insights. And one thing we did recently was just asking our supporters. So at the start of 2014, we asked them what human rights issues they were interested in, work on a huge range, kind of death penalty, individuals at risk, women's rights. And we also asked them about the comms that they were receiving. This was people who are on our email list, who responded to the email survey, but 88% of people said that the volume of emails we were sending out was just right. And it's quite important because we make a lot of internal assumptions, one of which is that we send too much email, and so it's quite good to see that actually we're on the right track. Some people said they wanted more, and some people said they didn't receive them, which was weird because they got an email. And we've also been doing some analysis as well of the factors, and I spoke about it earlier, that increase retention of financial supporters. And we found it's a significant variable that the more emails that people open and the more they click through and the more actions they do, the more likely they are to remain a supporter. So, the channel is key for that as well.
Yeah, I think that's often an assumption to make. Hearing kind of Della speak just before lunch about email volume and the fear that surrounds sending too much. When if you've just gone out and asked your supporters and they're like, hey, it's fine. Nearly 90%. So it goes to show always worth asking the question and kind of surveying your supporters or your customers or even your prospects. So thinking creatively, so back in 2012, we had an initial sort of creative review meeting where we had a look at the current email creative. If you can see those stats, but I've pulled out some headline stats, but this Amnesty's smartphone open rate back in 2012 was 28%. We knew that was only set to grow through the likes of, well, there's lots of kind of trend reporting out there. Right through into 2013 and 2014, that's grown hugely. So we knew we had to take action and change the email creative. Tablet open rate was down at 8%. Again, I think that's seen a similar insurgence. And desktop was king, really. Desktop, so kind of email browser client and also kind of desktop client as well. Kind of made up the rest. But we knew we had to take action. So we changed the welcome email. So this was the welcome email originally. Sorry about the quality of that. I've had to get it from a very old email that I had. We had some fundamental kind of challenges with this, in that whilst it was a welcome email and it was something that you got once you became affiliated with Amnesty, either as a member or a subscriber, and you would get this email, and whilst it had a lot of content, there was a big barrier to content, which was the big video piece. Now, we're all fans of video in email. I think video is very powerful and can really drive engagement and kind of website traffic, but with images off, that was actually just kind of actually cutting out the content, and the text was very dense. So what we did, we moved to something a lot shorter, a lot neater, a lot brighter, and we've got some pre-header text in there, which really helps kind of drive the open. It's a lot more of a personal message. It's a lot kind of quicker to the point, and you get this kind of personalized URL, which takes you through to this really rather wonderful, kind of welcome experience. Now, you only get this if you're an Amnesty member. So if you do want to experience it, please do become one. But it's a wonderful sort of electronic book, which is this kind of really rich multimedia experience, which has a lot of embedded video, has a lot of really rich content about the different events, the different ways you can get involved. Such more of a powerful experience than just receiving an email, and certainly kind of made you feel very engaged.
So another one of the kind of redesigns we did. So I mentioned we stopped having that kind of regular monthly newsletter, but we kept the newsletter formats. We've just updated it slightly. So this is a quarterly good news email. We're sending it out quarterly. We're kind of testing to see how often we need to do that. But what we do is we could just gather up all our kind of good news, showing the impact that our campaigns have. So this is a recent one. We did a recent lobbying action, which meant that some of the most vulnerable refugees from the conflict in Syria were allowed to come and settle in the UK. And also Hakamada, who's the world's longest-serving death row prisoner, this is him walking out of prison after 45 years, happened quite recently. And we've gone with, we've really looked at what's working on other digital spaces. So we've gone with these kind of very kind of, big images, graphics, very strong content, and just also making sure we're getting that good news out there. It really helps with our retention and conversion of supporters. And then this is one of our campaign action emails. So we did a bit of testing when we first brought these templates in, and we found just that button makes a huge difference to the number of people who kind of go through support our campaigns. We've also gone for the kind of storytelling approach, so really leading with the stories of the people we're working with and on behalf of. So this guy, Yevgeny Vitishko, was arrested for swearing at a bus stop. He was in the bus stop, I think, when he was swearing. He wasn't actually swearing at it. But it's still pretty absurd that he got arrested. So we're really trying to bring the stories out there, and that combined with these new templates, which work really well on mobile, have really helped us to convert more people to clicking through and also supporting our campaigns.
Yeah. And those take action buttons aren't made any, well, the screen is enormous, but they are genuinely that big. So it doesn't matter if you've got small thumbs, fat thumbs, no thumbs, you can still click on these things. It makes a real difference. And what I like on the take action button, sometimes there is what that action is. So in this case, stop the crackdown. In this case, sign a petition. So you're sort of informed as the clicky, what that actual action is. And then down here on the right as well, you can see that there is a donate button, which has become quite standard across Amnesty's communications. Really nice, the familiar candle against the donate button, and then a really nice, couple of sentences of exactly why you should be donating. That was something that just wasn't there in the past, and well, you could just have a donate button on, but this is an informed donate button, so small change, but it's obviously made a big impact. For those of you who are interested, current smartphone open rate has increased by 16% since 2012. Actually, not as much as I thought it was going to. That's interesting. Tablet open rate, a massive 43%, so that's a big increase. And that meant that desktop's fallen by 15% as well. So the time is definitely right to be implementing the new creative, and I know we're going to be looking at that again in the future. The last point I wanted to make in terms about optimizing the journey was dealing with these guys' return paths. So through working with the new creative, through working very closely with Amnesty and understanding how they run their campaigns, how they run their supported data, I saw them as a prime candidate to be introduced to Return Path. For those of you who don't know, Return Path are inbox placement solution specialists, for want of a better word. But yeah, they work with good email marketers to help them spread the level of inbox placement. Amnesty, obviously, were that. We did a bit of work to help them clean their data, to understand data that was very disengaged. We brought them over onto a dedicated IP, which is a prerequisite for Return Path certification. We did some pre-vetting with Return Path, and Return Path then confirmed that if we made the application, they'd be able to be fast-tracked onto the scheme, and they can then kind of reap the benefits of being whitelisted and getting the important message of Amnesty into as many inboxes as possible. We did have to make one small change, and it was this. Don't know if anyone of you can see what that change is, but we had to include Amnesty's geographic postcode. It's a compliance thing. People should be able to write to you as well to ask to be unsubscribed or to ask about kind of more about the content. So it's literally the only change we had to make to their whole setup to get them Return Path certified. So yeah, increasing engagement.
So we've been doing regular reviews with Johnny from Pure, just looking at, as we've implemented all these various changes, the impact that they've had. And one thing we've seen is just average open click-throughs have been increasing. It's kind of about 1 or 2% year on year. We've got a target open rate there. It probably is quite low compared to a lot of other sectors, and there's a lot of work we need to do around. We've got quite a lot of inactive data, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. But also, so some of that is to do with the fact that we're sending more targeted emails, fewer just emails to everyone, really trying to be a bit cleverer with how we do things. But we're also finding that when we do send out those big campaign emails, we're getting more clicks and opens on each message as well. Some of the things we've been trialling are, things around subject lines, finding the kind of 2-3 word subject lines are working really well for us. And then with some of those targeted sends where we're trying to be letting people know what's going on with campaigns sort of as it happens. We're getting kind of over 50% open rates for those. And like I've said before, the more people who open and click, the more people kind of hear our message. So it's really important for us to just keep finding ways to keep making those gains, 1% at a time.
Yeah, and we can see some open and click percentages up there. That's the numbers of open and clickers, which are increasing as well, which is really good to see. And then I thought it was worth kind of putting this stat in as well. So these are the sort of negative engagement aspects. So people who are opting out, people who are bouncing, people who are soft bouncing. All of those are really sort of tapering off to a very safe, a very nice part, which is going to protect reputation moving forward. And I think that is the sum of all of those aspects together.
And so some of our plans for, so we've just done a bit of a review and we're kind of looking at, what we're going to prioritise over the next year. And one thing is so we call it prospect welcome journey. So if someone signs a petition for the first time, then you're on our database. We're just looking at what we send to those people and getting a really kind of tight journey. The main aim is to try and encourage them to become a member, but there are loads of other ways that people can support. And we're also looking at developing our preference centre so people have more control over if they want to be in an activist network, or if they just want to receive comms on particular campaigns. We're just exploring ways we can improve that experience for our supporters.
Yeah, we're going to move the urgent action communications, which are very, very specific actions about people who are in real trouble. They're currently sent from a different department, they're currently sent from a different system, but it's going to be moving on to the Pure system in order to take advantage of A, the reporting, but B, the certification that we've got in place, so that's happening imminently.
And we're kind of looking at what a lot of e-commerce organisations are doing to improve our trading emails, which is an area where we think there's a lot of potential, but we just really need to test, understand what works. So we're doing a lot of testing on that this year.
Yep, and then we're going to further refresh email templates. Obviously, it was a while ago now, and whilst they still stand up, I think what we're going to look more toward is responsive design. I think we need to make that switch. It used to be responsive designs were sort of, only if we can afford it, and hey, it would be great if. I think responsive design now forms a central part of any marketer's arsenal, and we should be really designing with mobile in mind. That's the same for Amnesty's website as well.
And I've been told this is obligatory to have the testing points, but yeah, we're prioritising this year, just doing a lot more testing, understanding what works, the best kind of ways to maximise our digital campaigning, and then also reactivation. So as I said, we've got quite a lot of people on our list who've been there for maybe 10 years, and they're not doing very much. So first we're looking at ways to re-engage them with our campaigns, maybe looking at using the preference centre, and then kind of devising a journey or possibly no journey for those people going forward. So that's sort of another big priority for this year. And I think just all of it, it's just around, the ways that we can really show people the impact of their actions, encourage them to do more, and then ultimately allow us to do more for human rights, and hoping to keep working with Pure 360 to do that. So...
Cool, okay, and that's us.